There was once a town in the heart of America where all life seemed to live in harmony with its surroundings. Then a strange blight crept over the area, and everything began to change. There was a strange stillness. The few birds seen anywhere were moribund. They trembled violently and could not fly. It was a spring without voices. On the morning that had once throbbed with dawn chorus of scores of bird voices, there was now no sound. Only silence lay over the fields and woods and marsh. Silent Spring, 1962.
She started by writing radio scripts about fish. She continued as a junior aquatic biologist. In 1936, one of only 2 professional women in her agency. She studied the commercial fisheries of the Chesapeake Bay. Her science was meticulous, her writing still regarded as some of the best. She earned $38 a week. Her work demanded sacrifice. She struggled to balance her job and family, was plagued by poor health, chafed at the bureaucracy, struggled to find direction in her career. Yet out of her 15 years of service came a body of work that half a century later still stands as some of the finest in conservation. She went on to devote her biology and her writing to a larger problem, the environmental damage wrought by pesticides.
The pesticide of most concern to Rachel Carson was DDT. DDT is one of the most well-known synthetic pesticides. It is a chemical with a long, unique, and controversial history. First synthesized in 1874, DDT's insecticidal properties were not discovered until 1939. In the second half of World War II, it was used with great effect among both military and civilian populations to control mosquitoes spreading malaria and lice-transmitting typhus. After the war, DDT was made available for use as an agricultural insecticide, and soon its production and use skyrocketed. DDT was the answer to all of our pest problems.
When the 8th Army needed Jap civilians to help them out in our occupation, they called on native doctors to administer DDT under the supervision of our men to stem a potential typhus epidemic. Dusting like this goes a long way in checking disease, and the laughs are them. Pardon our dust.
As the petrochemical era grew and grew, warning signs emerged that some of these chemicals could pose hazards. The data initially were trivial, anecdotal, but gradually a body of data started accumulating to the extent that we now know that the synthetic chemicals which have permeated our workplace, our consumer products, our air, our water, produce cancer and also birth defects and some other toxic effects. Furthermore, industry has known about this, at least most industries have known about this, and have attempted to trivialize these risks. If I take a gun and shoot you, that's criminal. If I expose you to some chemicals which knowingly are going to kill you, what difference is there? The difference is that it takes longer to kill you. We are now in the midst of a major cancer epidemic, and I have no doubt, and I have documented the basis for this, that industry is largely responsible for this overwhelming epidemic of cancer, in which 1 in every 2 men get cancer in their lifetimes, and 1 in every 3 women get cancer in their lifetimes.
In 1962, Rachel Carson published her book, Silent Spring. The book cataloged the environmental impacts of the indiscriminate spraying of DDT in the U.S. and questioned the logic of releasing large amounts of chemicals into the environment without fully understanding their effects on ecology or human health. The book suggested that DDT and other pesticides may cause cancer and that their agricultural use was a threat to wildlife, the environment, and humans. For her work, Carson was labeled a communist, an alarmist, and a hysterical woman, unqualified to write such a book. However, regardless of this, the publication of Silent Spring was one of the signature events in the birth of the environmental movement. Silent Spring resulted in a large public outcry that eventually led to most uses of DDT being banned in the U.S. in 1972. Unfortunately, Rachel Carson did not live to see her life's work come to fruition. Still, her legacy and ideals live on.
Man's attitude toward nature is today critically important, simply because we have now acquired a fateful power to alter and to destroy nature. But man is part of nature, and his war against nature is inevitably a war against himself.